Welcome to the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce News and Views show. I'm your host, Diane Sawyer, and today we have with us very special guest, a segment of Meet the Ambassadors. Well, welcome to the show, Lieutenant.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited to have you. We have a long history of working with the police department, and we've had several folks throughout the years, but usually whoever was the lieutenant that was over community policing has been kind of our go-to, and so that is now you. But we were already working with you in so many other ways. So tell us who you are, introduce yourself, tell us about kind of how you came to be at the Reidsville Police Department, how long you've been there, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm Sharra Carter. I've been with part of the police department for actually 22 years. 4 years of that, I was with the Police Explorers, which is a co-ed program through the Boy Scouts. And it just teaches you about law enforcement and just gives you an idea of what the job entails. And from there, I went to BLET, and then for 18 years, been a sworn police officer with the city of Reidsville.
That is so wild to me.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you for support.
Yeah, we love to support you guys. You are one of the biggest community partners we have when it comes to events, when it comes to our businesses, when it comes to working with our folks downtown. So we're thankful to have you.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you like to do. I might know a little bit about that.
You know, a little bit. Well, presently I'm in Community Policing Division. So that's involved planning operations for all the events that's handled in the city. Also, we have our school resource officers. We have 5 schools in the city. We have our downtown officer, our park ranger, 6 part-time officers, and 2 reserve officers.
Wow,
So,
that is a lot. Let's break that down a little bit. Let's talk about, let's start with the school resource officers. I think a lot of times people don't really truly understand the real reasoning behind school resource officers. Talk to us about what their role is and how that plays into the day-to-day school stuff.
and that position is really near and dear to my heart because for 8 years I was a school resource officer. So I understand the importance of it. So we have 5 schools. So we have the high school, the middle school, we have 2 elementary schools, and we also have the SCORE Center, alternative school. So each school has had designated SRO. And the main goal is just to build relationships. Just having that go-to person in that school, whether it's the staff that needs a resource, whether it's the students, whether it's parents, it's just that go-between and someone that you can reach out to if you have any questions or concerns. I was school resource officer 2008 till about 2016. I still have students from then reach out to me. So just those relationships, you can't beat them.
You really can't, and I think it's so important for people to understand that you are a resource.
Right.
That's why I love that that's in the name. You know, my own experiences with having children, you see your school resource officer from directing traffic in the morning and afternoons to doing all sorts of things.
Working a game.
Working games. Yeah, I have a friend who's a counselor at the SCORE Center, and I understand how important it is for her to have the school resource officer and to have that resource because they're dealing with kids from all over the county who are located here in Reidsville while they're in the alternative school and trying to work through things. And these kids really need a lot of resources.
They do. And when they see that you really care, I mean, it speaks volumes.
It does. It takes special people to run that school, and they are doing an amazing job, and it takes a special SRO to support those folks.
It really does.
I think that in the end, looking back, I remember when I was young, the DARE program and seeing, you know, it really did. I know my DARE officer to this day. Like, it was Tommy Griffin. And like, when I see him and I know him and he can speak and like, he's like, oh yeah, like, you know, he remembers. And, you know, it has a lasting impact as a child, that experience and that impression that they get. And like you said, it's just so special. And it creates the ability when they find themselves in places that they're unsure of, you're an additional person that they can come to and you know, for good, for bad, whatever, they can reach out and
that.
say, I'm struggling with
Right.
this. Can you help me?
Right. What do you recommend?
Well-
And I'm putting my dare instructor out there, but mine was Mark Childry with Star News.
Oh, I love it. I love Mark. Mark
Right. Oh,
served
yeah.
for many, many years.
Yeah.
It's
Great guy.
great guy.
Yeah.
He really is. And again, look at what he does now. The community piece never leaves you.
No,
and I
it
think,
doesn't.
it's the same for us here in the role that we do. And that's kind of how we developed such a great relationship,
We did.
right? And how
We
you
did.
ended up being an ambassador. So tell us about, what the downtown piece is like and how important it is. I'm so thankful we brought a downtown officer back recently.
Right. So we've had times where we did have a downtown officer and we didn't, and we brought it back, and it's a critical part. And again, building those relationships with the merchant, with customers, and just knowing that they have someone downtown for any issues or concerns that they need.
Downtown, the Central Business District is different from any other place in the city. And a lot of people think that it's favored, and it's not that it's favored, it's just that it's different, right? Like you've got 2 blocks of businesses where their buildings literally touch. Some of them have doors that go to the other buildings on the inside, just because over the years different people have owned the properties and different things. There's the front side, there's the back side, there's all these little nooks and crannies and alleyways, and so it's just it's a different place. And the hubbub of these, especially now, my gosh, like we've added another bakery and place to eat.
Right.
And so you've got La Boca Loca, and you've got Cafe 99, and you've got Carolina Cafe, and you've got the Fringe and Blackbirds.
Reidsville's growing.
It's growing so much, and so the foot traffic, it already is really wild during the week, as we know, at lunchtime, but it's starting to be really wild all the time. And when you've got restaurants that are open past lunchtime, so you've got 2 now with Turtle Creek and La Boca Loca who stay open past like the 2 o'clock. So it's really important to have somebody downtown, but also the COM committee has been really awesome. And my favorite part about that is talking about having the downtown officer, because businesses, we talk about neighborhood watch, and they talk about wanting to see a patrol car in the neighborhood. Well, it's the same thing down here. You want to see one on foot. So you want to see somebody, because it makes you feel safe, and it makes you feel like there's a resource, like you said. It's a good thing. And I really think the Reidsville Police Department does a great job, both on the residential and the business side, of being present and being, whether they're parked somewhere, whether they're patrolling somewhere, whether it's the National Night Out stuff. And y'all have done some really cool things. Talk to me about, over the last several years, we've had things where we went out in the park and we had, like popsicles, and we've had, water where we've opened fire hydrants.
Right.
And so tell us about those and why they're important and what you guys hope to achieve out of that.
Well, again, it's a big part of community policing, and we try to do as many activities as we can. And like, for example, Coffee with a Cop. That's a big one. And if anyone's interested in any businesses and hosting Coffee with a Cop, please reach out to me, 336-347-2368. And my email is scarter@reidsvillenc.gov. And we have those events, and they're a big hit. Actually, going back in time, my first Coffee with a Cop was at Reidsville McDonald's. And I'm not going to put the person's name out there, but I met them. And I'm proud to say now they're a Reidsville police officer.
That is so awesome. I love that.
They are. Yeah. It's just
I
those
love the
events
Coffee
like
with a
that.
Cop. I think it's phenomenal.
I mean, it's great. It's great. We have one coming up. It's going to be at McDonald's, Reidsville. It's going to be March 27th.
All right. Awesome. March 27th. At what
8:30
time?
to 10:30.
Okay. And people can just come out and
Right.
have a cup of coffee.
Just
And talk to
building
you
that
guys,
relationship.
ask you questions, see
Right.
what's going on.
Any concerns that there are in the community, that's what it's for. There's no agenda, there's no script. Just come in, any conversation. If you want to thank us for our service, that's fine too.
We have had some really amazing people come through the PD, but we've also had some really long-standing ones. And
Right.
you are a testament to that, and how the relationships and the things have grown. And we're so excited to have you as an ambassador.
Thank you.
You know, the ambassador piece is the community piece of the chamber. And so where we take and deliver the directories to the businesses,
Right.
or where we, you know, it's our core group of volunteers who are at all of our events. And so we've been working with you for a long time when it
Yeah.
comes to the beer gardens and the concerts and all of the events downtown where we close the streets. And it's so cool to see you being promoted to lieutenant. So you've been doing that, what we were talking, almost 9 months now.
Right, about 9 months.
So in 9 months, do you feel like you are really like getting your groove and what you want to accomplish, and what kind of goals do you have for community policing on the horizon?
I mean, I feel so. I'm always like looking for what's next. Though I'm thinking this summer we're just looking at playing, like we've done with Coffee with a Cop, but for the kids we're thinking about doing Kool-Aid with a Cop. We'll go through the neighborhoods with popsicles and just give them out. And just things like that. You know, last summer we did the cookout with a cop.
Yep.
That was a big success. We were looking at doing it at the apartment building complexes. And then one of the officers, Corporal Joyce, he had a great idea. He said, you know, we just got that new all-inclusive park. He said, what if we do it there? And I'm like, great idea. Let's do it.
Yep. Joyce is awesome.
He is. And we sent out flyers, put them out. We had probably maybe about 100, 150 people.
That's awesome.
So
you
it
know
was
what
a
else
great
is going to
turnout.
revolutionize your summer? Is the splash pad.
Yes.
How
Absolutely.
exciting.
I'm excited about that.
I am too.
Every time I go by, I'm like, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And you mentioned that downtown is being so active with the events and everything. That's the importance also having that downtown officer.
Oh,
Because when it
gosh,
comes
yeah.
to those events, you got
Yeah,
the
just for
concerts and
traffic
everything.
and
You
just
got someone
for
there.
making sure the safety is there,
Right.
making sure that there's a city of Reidsville employee. I mean, even not just wearing your uniform, but being employed by the city when there's an issue. Like, you guys know what to do, who to call.
Right.
If between the two of us we can't figure it out, we're going to be calling somebody, right?
Exactly.
So I think that in all, people need to realize, obviously y'all run calls, you have things that go on, but a lot of it is more about like the community piece, because I mean, this is not, let's talk about this. This is not what some of these crazy polls and crazy quizzes and like stuff that people put up, like they say, oh, Reidsville is the number 3 most dangerous in the 10 cities, which is actually, frankly, just not true, because if you break it down, so there's several different things. And this is one of the things I love about the Calm Committee, because like we've talked about this stuff. So first of all, let's talk about like what actually happens in Reidsville. If it happens in Reidsville, it is related to most likely like person to person, like it is domestic related. Like they usually know the person. Like we don't have random like just vandalization and random, like very little of that. Like the stuff that happens is either drug related or stuff that like where people know the people. And I think that is important for people to know, because that happens everywhere.
It does.
It happens all across the country,
Yeah.
all across the world. Couples who can't get along, families who have issues. And we have a really great system in Rockingham County for domestic abuse. We have the Family Law and Justice Center that's
Absolutely.
been built,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Great.
amazing.
It's
Like we
great.
are so blessed to have this building where you can go and all the services are encompassed there. All the people know what to do. We have literally like people can shelter in place with
Right.
no one knowing. I mean, we
Right.
had a ribbon cutting where we walked and toured and
It's
nobody
amazing.
knew
Yeah.
who was in the building.
Right.
They had people who right before the ribbon cutting were not in a safe place and had to come and shelter in place. And we never even knew where they were or who they were, because it is designed so beautifully. And Chrissy Griffin and
Yeah,
like
I love
her,
Chrissy.
yes, she
She's
is such
so
a
good
great
with it.
resource, and they do such a great job. And so my thing is like, let's talk about the reality. Let's talk about the good stuff. Like we have all these resources, but most of the crime that happens is going to be related to people who know the people, or it's going to be drug related, like, or it's going to be, you know, something that happens everywhere. There's nothing special about Reidsville. We are not New York City out here.
No.
In the downtown with just like random, like stealing people's pocketbooks and wallets and mugging and looking for, like that stuff doesn't happen. So it drives me bananas when people share that stuff on social media. And I'm like, do you really drill it down? And, you know, we as the chamber, we have all these partners, right? Like we're partners with the police, we're partners with our real estate members. Well, how hard is it for them to sell real estate when stuff like that gets pushed? And how hard is it for our schools to do well when people are saying, you know, and so how hard is it for economic development to recruit industry when that stuff is published? So I am a big fan of, I think the chamber's mission is to, I don't have a problem talking about stuff. Like, let's educate people, let's talk about stuff. So, and most of that stuff is junk anyways.
It is.
But the thing that I always remember, and I'll actually go back, Chief does a great job. He's carried on things that were started before him, and there was, the Calm Committee was going on before that. And one of the things that I learned was that all municipalities are not required to publish some of their numbers and some of their things. And so even just in Rockingham County, Reidsville publishes all their stuff and other places don't. And so we get pinged for that, but we're being honest and transparent. And so I think transparency is best. And I think that, you know, eventually that stuff circles around.
It is. Transparency is just important.
It's key.
Right. And the community deserves to know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Because we cannot do anything without the community.
Absolutely.
It's just a must.
I have learned through being partners with people in this business community that a lot of times the community is how you learn, like, where to solve the crime.
It is.
You know, you have to follow your protocols and you have to follow your laws, and you can only do certain things. So just because you hear something on the street doesn't mean, but it doesn't mean it doesn't give you a tip or an idea on how to go figure it out or track it down.
But that's the point of having those relationships, that you have someone to go to.
That's right.
And I know some people are not comfortable going to the police. And so we currently have a Reidsville PD app. You can get it on Google or Apple, and you can also text 847-411, type in Reidsville PD and whatever the information is, and it's sent anonymously. We'll have no idea who it came from.
That is amazing. So does that operate like the one for the school system, the bullying app, where you can just anonymously say,
it does.
Such as that? I forget the name of it. I'm blanking, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right, the bully, the straight talk, safe talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the name of it. If I had my phone, I could probably find it. But there is the app, so it works like that.
Right.
That is really cool.
See
I did
something,
not
say
know
something.
that.
Right.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll certainly put that information up on the screen. But that is awesome. I had no idea. Well, do we have flyers? I'd love to promote that in the
We do have
visitor
some
center.
cards, and I give you some. It's not a problem at all. We have little cards that have all the information.
I like that. Do you guys put that information in the schools too?
Yes.
That is really awesome. So, you know, to bring it full circle, like you just said, it's important to have those relationships and have those events. And, you know, community policing from the outside, just like the chamber from the outside, could look like it's nothing but events. But the events are what builds the relationships.
It does.
The being in the schools is what builds the relationships. Us inviting people in here and having folks on our show is what builds relationships. Because I tell everybody, the chamber at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just a bunch of relationships. And together, those relationships accomplish so much for the community.
Right. And we also, with the schools you mentioned, we've had people they're like, you were my SRO, and now they're police officers with us, or they work with the fire department, or they work for the city as a whole. Those relationships are critical.
Yeah, and it's a recruitment tool, and it shows.
Absolutely.
For me, it's a reminder. It's something we talk about at the chamber all the time, that exposing the young people to careers and exposing them to what goes on in their community, because, like, right, they've got blinders on. They get up and they may be one of those people who needs one of those resources. So at the end of the day, they're more worried about where their food's coming from, or if they're going to have a safe place to go home to. Like, we have that in our community, and it is really sad. But you also have kids who have what they need, but they are being bullied, or they have other stressors. And so kids have the blinders on because they're kids, and they don't have the comprehensive ability to see, to see that, to think about it. And so our job is to show them, like, hey, there are people in your community who care about you. There are people in your community who have professions or careers or jobs that are things that you could stay here and do, things you could be trained to do. And not, I mean, like, how long does BLET take?
It takes 3 months if you're doing day school, 6 months if you're doing a night.
Yeah, and that's right here at our community college.
Right in community college.
And I mean, it's such an easy, quick thing to think, oh, I'm going to get out of here because there's nothing to do. It's complicated to think about the things that are right at your fingertips because you don't see it.
Right.
And so, now there are things that take work, apprenticeships,
Absolutely.
BLET,
Absolutely, yeah.
anything that's a trade, while it's more specific to the job, it is hard, but it's shorter amounts of time. And so the time commitment becomes, that's all you're doing, but it happens, like you said, in 3 months or in 6 months. And so I think, the other thing is the community piece. Reidsville, in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, RPD has handled themselves so well and shown who they really were in times of craziness when it came to police officers and things that were happening. And we've had school shootings, and we've had, not here, but
Right.
in the country, we've had all the times of unrest and all the things that were going on. And RPD just showed up and showed out. Like, they were here with the people in the street, on the street, talking to people. I mean, we have such a great history. We have with, the celebrating, we just celebrated Black History Month in February.
Right.
Now we're celebrating the women. And so when RPD puts out that stuff and you think, wow, like Reidsville has done these things. Reidsville has made the police force look like the community looks, just like our city council looks like our community looks. And I am so proud of that Reidsville does that here in rural Rockingham County.
All right, well, yeah, we're doing great, and especially our department and the community supports us, and we appreciate that, and that's needed.
Yeah.
We got to have that support.
Yeah, and the city and the council. I mean, they're very supportive
Absolutely.
when it comes to the requests and the needs
Right.
of vehicles and equipment. And
Got a great city manager.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Summer has been phenomenal. Like,
Right.
in my 13 years, and this is no disrespect to anybody else, like, it doesn't mean that them as a person, but we have just grown on the person before us. Like, each great thing that they've done, like, it's grown in the next role. Like, they've just added to it and added to it and added to it. And like, we grew leaps and bounds with Preston, and now we're growing leaps and bounds with Summer.
Absolutely.
And two totally different eras, right? Because Preston was kind of like pre-COVID and pre all the crazy, and then
Yeah.
now here's Summer doing
Came
all
right
this
in
stuff,
COVID.
right? And it's like, oh my gosh, like, you just look around, and she had the vision and the leadership to see that if we had put all that money from the CARES Act under the ground, nobody would know. Nobody would be able to see it, touch it, feel it. But we have this great streetscape, and you can, like, I think people have already forgotten what it looked like before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so beautiful, and it's so wide open, and the character of the buildings, for good or for bad, is coming out. And I think it's encouraging people to, might need
Oh,
to
we
do
take
something
care of it. Yeah,
about
let me
that
look at my
facade.
property. Yeah.
Probably need to look at that. But we got people moving in. Like you said, it's growing. It's busy. Our industry, I mean, they're making announcements all the time. Like, Farmina is about to be up and running, and here comes Dry Lock. Like, there's all this really great stuff happening. And I just think that the police is essential to everything that we do, more than anything. So we're thankful that when we look across our group of board and ambassadors, that we've always got a fixture from the city and a fixture from the police department.
Absolutely. And you mentioned with jobs and finding things to do, I got to brag on our school system, because now the middle schools are doing labs, and they have different career paths. So if you decide sports medicine, now they're looking at adding law enforcement. If you want fire service, anything like that, you get a taste of it, what it's like, to see if that's the career path you want to choose. In middle school, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean,
That's
it's
the
just
Paxton
wonderful.
Patterson Lab, right?
Yes.
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 And so we have our Workforce Development Committee. We just met the other day. It was with Sharon Galloway and
right.
Nina Walls, and just talking about how these labs are going to revolutionize.
It is.
And Dr. Stover's actually doing a show, and we're going to talk about the career choice and how that's his big thing now. Is
Yeah.
you know, the academies were meant well in the high school, but when you break it down, the percentages of the kids going, they said it was like 98% in there. So IB is 98% Reidsville, and public safety is 98% Rockingham, and health academy in Moorhead is like 98%. So they didn't have their intended meaning, which was that anybody in the district could come and do that. So now they're trying to make it to where all the kids, like in the middle school, they're going to add the next two for next year, and they can do the career exploration labs. But then they're adding all the pathways and things,
Right.
so that through CTE and through all of that they can pretty much, and they can still go anywhere if they need to go do that career path. But they're trying to make it more open to their home school, because let's be honest, if a kid has been through 9 years with the same group of kids, they're not going to be as open to go into a new high school.
True.
And so they're trying to make it to where the kids can come through and the students can pick, okay, well, this is my pathway, this is my choice, this is what I'm interested in. So they're revolutionizing what the choices are in the
Having
next
that
couple
diversity,
years.
you may say, this may not be the career path. Let me try this. Until you find out what you really want to do.
The labs are going to be so awesome for that, because they get to do the different modules, and
Right.
they do the one, and then if they're like, oh, okay, and then they do this one, and it's just going to be amazing. So by law, I think it's next school year, all 7th graders have to have like an approved plan. And so they have initiated it this year to go ahead and like get the kinks and stuff out. So and I actually have a 7th grader, so I've kind of been watching what was happening and trying to figure it out. So and they do at this young age. I mean, especially if they're into sports or they have any kind of ideas about what they want to do. And mine's actually obsessed with cosmetology. She swears that's what she's going to do. But she also wants to play softball. So she's, trying to figure it out. And, the school enabling them to test the waters is going to be phenomenal.
I think so too. I can't wait.
I know. I'm very excited. Well, is there anything that you want to add? We're running out of time. Want to make sure that we covered everything.
I think we're good. Just thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I always enjoy working with you.
Absolutely. We enjoy having you, and we're thankful that we can call you for anything and just have that relationship, like you said.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for today's news and views. And you can find us anytime on our social media or on our website, reidsvillechamber.org, or located in the heart of downtown Reidsville at 140 South Scale Street. And that's it for today's show. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.